Welcome to the second episode of the Vision Mass podcast. I am so happy to host this interview in this amazing building, which is the Center for Social Innovation here in the heart of Toronto. Today's guest is an extremely talented designer and founder of Redline Design. Hi, MK.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I didn't know I was your second episode. I feel even more flattered now.
It is I guess it's your turn and it's your time to talk about yourself. So I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you.
You made me literally spend my yesterday evening on your website.
Oh my God.
I was just browsing your catalog and I got so inspired.
Wow.
I got so inspired by what you're doing. I love it. And I love what's even more inspiring is the message behind what you're doing.
Amazing.
It's not only the design, it's the message. So it's going to be very interesting. Before we get started, because I have a lot of questions for you, I will ask you to introduce yourself to the audience and also give us a little bit of your background.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for spending so much time on my website. I spent a lot of time on it, and it's good to know that it's receiving good feedback. So my name is MK. I am a designer and founder of Redline Design. I've been here with this project for the last 3.5 years. It actually started as a part-time kind of hobby for the last year and a half. I quit my corporate job and I went into this full time, and I couldn't be happier. I've been here in Toronto for the last 16 or 17 years. I moved here in 2007, but I grew up all over the world, and my kind of background was in business and in the automotive industry, but went into this in a very, I feel like my story of how I transitioned to this is very unique, and I'm sure we'll go into that.
Yes, we're going to dig into that, definitely.
Yeah.
We have the chance to be seated on one of your pieces, literally, and it is so functional. It is, even this piece of wood is actually super, super comfortable.
Oh, thank you.
And the first thing, obviously, that came to my mind, and I want to ask you, and I'm sure a lot of people asked you that question before, is why the red line as your artistic signature? And more so, how does this literally become your brand identity?
Yeah. It started off when I was working on a piece. This was like literally my first piece, and it was my own piece. The Redline Design came when I wanted to make like a TV unit for myself. I had no experience in woodworking. I thought I could actually build it in my own apartment, like at home. And I came in here actually because there's a tool library here that you can borrow some tools, like saws and sanders and all that stuff. So I borrowed the tools and took them home, and I thought I could like make the piece in my apartment. And I literally tried to do like the first couple of cuts, and it made so much dust and noise, and I had no idea that that's what's gonna happen. So I couldn't do it. But as I was working on that piece, I kind of made the first one. I didn't really like it when I was buying, because the wood that I got was not very nice. So I went to this other wood supplier, and I saw this wood called bloodwood or paduk. Both of these woods are naturally red, and I had no idea that this wood existed. So when I saw it, I was so fascinated by the color, and I was like, "How is this natural?" I didn't it was. To me, it was fascinating. I didn't know that there's redwood. So I kind of put it in my first piece, and right away the idea came to me that what if every single one of my pieces had that red line, and that becomes my signature. It ultimately tied into something that I truly believe in, and in terms of companies and corporations have the responsibility to the environment, to be sustainable, and there's so much waste in marketing materials and packaging and all that stuff, and paint. And so I was like, what if it could be as simple as a natural thing that could become your signature, could become your brand? And that's how that's how the brand developed, basically.
Yes. And the way you literally incorporated this piece of wood, this specific piece of wood, into a bigger piece of wood that I believe are two different ones, right?
Yes,
it's
exactly.
Two different pieces of wood.
So it depends on the design, and it's actually really nice having that kind of starting point. It's almost like a limitation or a starting point where it's like, okay, we know there's going to be a red line, and then the piece is built around it. And in many cases as well, I would finish the piece and then, figure out after where I want to place the red line to highlight a certain thing. Like, I do actually put the red line close to natural wood knots, for instance, to highlight the beauty of the wood, uniqueness of it. When you're using natural wood, like every single piece is unique and it's not manufactured, and it's your own piece. There'll never ever be another piece that will look like that. And
yes.
And companies and corporations spend so much time hiding these flaws, and I really want to highlight them and bring them forward into my brand. And
I want to get back to what you said about literally the origins of Redline Design.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people can relate to that. So you got started by responding to a personal need, right? You needed a TV unit.
Yes.
You figure out, okay, I'm going to make this with my own hands, which is very interesting. Why did you choose handmade creation over simply going to an IKEA store, just like a lot of people would do, right? Including me.
Yeah. I always had this idea of, way before I got into this, when I see a furniture piece, I would always say, oh, what if like the leg was this way, or what if the top was that way? I've always had ideas to like improve furniture pieces for some reason, and I would look at it and even like right now, when I go to a furniture store, I would look under the table and like, check out the legs and see what's happening, just to kind of understand how it's built. But I've had that instinct in me before I even knew that this is what I'm going to do for work. So when I wanted to get I was moving to a new place and I needed a media unit, I had a very specific idea in mind, and I did look to try to buy it. Like, it was a good research period before I decided, I'm going to do this myself, because, if I didn't really find anything that I loved, and kind of I became obsessed of the vision that I had for the piece.
Yeah.
So, I looked at some of the pieces that were close but not exactly perfect, were super expensive, or other pieces that could have worked were also like 3 months away. You have to order and wait. So I said, it's a very simple piece, straight lines. Like I can do it myself, and I just, found space to rent the tools and got the wood and decided to do it myself. And that's really how it started.
So for people that are watching us right now and that have the idea and want to create, they have no idea where to start, and they have no idea where to find the good resources, talk to the right people, go to the right store to buy the piece of wood and get started. What would be your first step and your advice to them?
Yeah, so I would say look for maker spaces in your city. Most major cities have that concept. It's like a space where you can go to, where you can rent either space that has the tools. You can use the tools there, bring your own wood and work on your own pieces, or you can take the tools home and do it yourself. Because a lot of times these tools are expensive that you need for these projects, so it's not reasonable for people to buy those tools just for one project. So I would say check out that you can rent the tools, and then ask them if they know of, where there are spaces where they can, they're called maker spaces. You rent the space, you go and do the piece there. So that's what I did. I found a space because I was looking to rent the tools. And then when I went there, I found out that they actually rent the space. You can go and get a membership and use that space to build it there. So instead of making dust and noise in my small condo apartment, I decided to do that. And that's how I got started. Yeah.
And it's a good advice also for people who live in small apartments and then don't have anywhere, any studio, any space to actually get started.
It was very quick transition between I need to make something for myself to, oh, I can sell these things. And I was like, so I had this idea that I was obsessed with for a media unit. And as I was building it, I came up with a totally different idea, totally different direction. I finished the first media unit. I said, okay, I'm going to try to sell this so I can make the second one. And yeah, I literally finished it, posted it online, and it sold.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
That's amazing. It sounds like it's very smooth, a very smooth transition for you. It all made sense once you actually got started and did what you wanted to do and to create for yourself. Where does that talent for craft comes from? Did you ever take any courses?
A part of it is like, it's a little bit of a delusion of like not worrying about the next step and thinking, okay, I can do this. Like I can figure it. I've had designs when I was like, oh my God, like this doesn't look possible. Like, is it even gonna stay together? But not letting that stop me from actually trying and doing it and problem solving along the way. So that like, you almost have to be a little bit delusional when you get started to like not worry. Like you could spend so much time just sitting there thinking, oh my God, like, is this going to stay straight or, is this like joint okay? But just do it and figure it out. Like if it's not okay, then you can kind of adjust after once you learn from the first mistake. And having that delusion and that like bravery to just get started is a big part of where I am right now, where, I feel like I'm much more knowledgeable. There's lots for me to learn. I'm very... I'm not very good at reading instructions or listening to instructions or following. I've never been good at that at school. So for me, I need to do something with my hands and I can figure it out and make the mistake and learn from it.
I love the advice and the audacity behind your work.
Audacity, yes, exactly.
Yes, and the fact that you don't really spend too much time thinking. You just do it and see what happens and see what you can create from here.
And I should say, like, I have to remind myself of that. Like there's a lot of times where I get stuck and I have to say, stop thinking, just do it. Like, I have to tell that to myself. And anytime I feel like I'm stuck, it's just only because I'm overthinking about the next step. And I just have to kind of bring it back. And that's actually what's so nice about woodworking. It's one of those activities where like you just get lost in time. I can do it for hours and hours and not think about my phone or anything else. You're just kind of focused on your work and working with your hands. It's so refreshing and it almost feels like a meditation, So it's important to be present and not overthink. And sometimes you just have to remind yourself of that.
From what I could see on the About section on your website and what I can feel from you and what you're making is that you have a strong devotion to celebrating the authenticity of the wood. You don't want to alter anything. You want to work with the natural colors. Where are those principles coming from to you? And how do you reflect those principles and your rules about what you want to make or not with wood?
So actually, I feel like I kind of get reminded of this story that kind of stuck with me. It was a very clear moment in time that I always go back to, where I was in college. I was clean shaven, so I would shave every other day, and I ran out of shaving cream. So I was thinking to myself like, oh my God, how am I going to shave? Like I can't shave without shaving cream. But then I was like, a struggling student couldn't really afford to just go and buy shaving cream. You actually had to think about it. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to try shaving without shaving cream. And all of a sudden, like, I got this realization, you don't actually need shaving cream to shave. I can just totally shave just fine without it. And it like somehow blew my mind. I know it shouldn't, but I was very convinced that I need shaving creams to shave. And it kind of like built up this thought or this kind of idea or obsession almost, like how many of the products that we have are just products that are pushed on us for pure profit and not for, just simply a company saw an opportunity that they can make profit, and to them that's justified to create this extra product, right? Instead of, thinking about its harms on the environment and whether it's contributing to consumerism and all that stuff. So this is kind of something that I have in the back of my mind that I always think about. Like, okay, yes, I have customers that say I want something painted black, and I've said no to them. Like sometimes I've said no to orders where, no, I don't paint wood. It's unnecessary. Look how beautiful. Like you just look at the piece of wood that naturally beautiful, has the grain, and you only cover that with paint. No, like especially also because I only use natural solid wood, right? It's not manufactured wood, so it's a crime. I think it's a crime to paint it. It's so beautiful.
I like this. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't even stain it. I just use natural finish to highlight the grain. So to me, it's unnecessary. And just because somebody wants something doesn't justify its harm on the environment, right? So we can, as companies, sometimes remind the consumer, no, you don't actually need for it to be black. You can also consider something that's natural and beautiful and even more unique. That the grain of the wood is so unique that every single piece is never going to be the same. It's not just manufactured stuff that looks exactly the same. And that's kind of what I keep trying to remind myself and highlight in my brand.
It's amazing to have this concept and idea around nature and what it has to offer. And if everybody was thinking that way, we wouldn't be living in that kind of society and world, because literally you just go back to the essence itself of a piece of wood and it's extremely beautiful. You don't need anything to alter it.
Absolutely.
It speaks for itself, right?
And what I want is because it's a natural finish, because it's not painted, because it's solid wood, like first of all, it's so easy to maintain. If there's a scratch or a problem with it, most people should be able to fix it themselves. I don't want them to be like, oh, I need to hire a painter or take it somewhere to get it fixed. Like they can do that themselves. That saves them, time and effort, and also like it's solid wood. It's not painted. If you want to reuse it in a few years and say, I'm going to build something else, try to experiment with this or resell it, like this wood would last. It's going to last you for generations. You're not going to be harming anything. If you're sanding a paint, there's a lot of chemicals that get generated, and you're breathing in that chemicals. And it's terrible for you. So with my pieces, I want people to use them and reuse them. And it's almost become a challenge, not an idea. It's like, these are the restrictions that I have, and I want to be creative around them and not just say, make any color piece, anything that the customer wants just because they can pay me for it.
Yeah, and you're already, there's just so many, when we look at your website, there's so many different concepts and design ideas around this piece of wood. We wouldn't believe that it comes from the same kind of wood. You know what I mean? Like it really, truly, there is one unique concept and design idea around one piece, and that's what I love about your work.
Thank you.
I feel like we all have kind of an old-fashioned memory of what a wooden furniture is. We all know our grandmother, our grandparents, they had that big, bulky armoire, right, in their bedroom. And you did such a great job at making this amazingly functional and minimalist. What's your artistic approach around, and how do you cultivate your artistic approach when you have a design idea to put it together?
So actually, I love the minimalistic look. Minimalism is one of my favorite. It's another limitation I had to work around, right? Starting by myself, I had limitations in terms of what my skill levels are, right? So when I was working because I was designing and building the piece myself, I was like, during the design process, I kind of always thought about how can I build a piece, and would I be able to put these joints together? And that really also pushed me towards like making the piece a lot more minimalistic. So that challenge really helped me, come up with a lot of those designs because of my, starting off in the skill level, and also you know, minimalistic design can be difficult to build, but for me, it came from like trying to design a piece that is easy for me to make, and you know, kind of found that could be beautiful when you're making it, right?
Yeah.
If you just simplify the design, simplify the joints. I started this way because of my skill level, but it helped me come up with so many designs that I love, and I think they're beautiful.
Are you able to envision how far you want to take this project, your vision, your message with Redline Design in 5 years?
It's a constant developing idea in terms of how I want to grow this business, and especially because it's important to me to grow it in a sustainable way, being able to support local makers, support local artists, and my goal as I'd like to grow this is that, you know, I want when people buy from Redline Design Toronto to know that the pieces are made in Toronto locally by local artists, by local makers. You know, I'd like to. I was fortunate enough to explore working in Copenhagen for a few months, and you know, found a studio there and managed to kind of make a few pieces for clients locally there, instead of making them in Toronto and shipping them. And you know, so like went in, found local suppliers, wood and stone, and you know, and built the piece there instead of, oh, I can just build it for cheap in China and then ship it to them. I would love to have multiple locations around the world that, you know, are able to build my designs, and you know, I'm hoping to be able to do lots of travels and maybe kind of work in France or in Germany or in, you know, Asia, and I don't know, maybe one day there'll be like a Redline Design studio in every major city, and but like I said, it's important to me that it's grown in a sustainable way, and I hope to stick to that principle as I keep growing it.
I love it.
Yeah.
What we do at the end of the podcast, I mean, almost the end, is that I ask you a series of 5 questions, and I ask you to answer with one word or 2. It depends on the question.
Okay.
The first question is, if you could choose to collaborate with any artist, not even only designer, who would it be?
Painters.
Do you have a specific painter in mind?
No.
Would it be paint on the wood though?
No. You really caught me off guard there. I don't. No. So my vision for that, actually, I have an event that I'm planning soon. Is I want to display my furniture in an art gallery, and I thought it would be cool if, like, you know, I feel like luxury furniture and art go hand in hand. So if it's almost like, wouldn't it be cool if like the art on the wall is an extension of the furniture, and the furniture is also an extension of the art, and kind of go together. So I feel like it'd be cool to collaborate with an artist where a piece of art on the wall is created in inspiration of the furniture piece, and the other way around as well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my vision for that.
Where is this event?
The space that we're working with is in the Distillery District. It's called the Thompson Landry. It's a gallery, a very nice gallery. If you haven't been while you're here in Toronto, you should check it out.
Yeah. When is the event? Oh my God.
I'm hoping November, December. We still haven't had landed on a date, but
nice.
I will keep you posted.
Yes, and for all the people who may want to go and see your work in person.
Absolutely, yeah.
Second question, the country that influenced you the most?
Denmark. Just the Danish design is so beautiful. Anytime I saw a furniture piece, I always had opinions about how I think it should improve, but anytime I've gone and looked at Danish design, it was just like so beautiful that it was very inspirational for me.
One place you'd like to design or redesign? Like,
you were looking for a specific museum, or?
It doesn't have to be famous. It could be just the simple...
I've always wanted to design my own cabin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so taking the project even at a bigger...
Like a Redline Design cabin.
Yeah, that's very cool. I love the idea. You have the option to draw one red line anywhere in the world. Where will it be?
Palestine.
Yeah, I think you don't need to say much.
No.
Yes.
That's where I would draw the red line.
The most important skill to you that a designer must have?
Delusion.
Lovely answer too. Yeah. I think not even only designers, right?
Yeah,
Everybody.
exactly. Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
To be able to become a designer.
For sure.
Yeah.
You should be delusional. A lot of times companies want to build products that are, you can stack them all on top of each other in big warehouses so you can ship them quickly. They're a lot more limited because they want to build a product that is stackable, shippable, very easily assembled, cheap. But when you're making it yourself, you have so much more to experiment with that they actually are not, in many cases, are not able to replicate or steal that design. So.
Yes, and make it unique,
Exactly,
right? With
yeah.
your own signature and your own experience of life and things. MK, it was a pleasure to have you on the podcast today. I personally, truly, deeply connected with your work, and especially, again, the message that you have behind and what you carry and what you want to carry over time with your pieces of art. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I truly think that you made people inspired to start creating meaningful things to them. We'll put the Redline Design website link on the comment section.
Thank
so
you.
People can, just like me yesterday night, go on your website and scroll through, and I'm sure that I will find a piece that will resonate with them and accentuate their environment and their home decor. So thank you so much again. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I really love that conversation. So I appreciate you for coming here today.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you having me on your second episode. I'm flattered.
Yes, and hopefully with many, many more.